Not so long ago, as history measures time, this was a tangle of forest and bush surrounding a handful of shacks in their sparse clearings. The prolific growth that in time became a source of wealth had not yet been mastered. It was then only a jumping-off place for the logger, fishermen, and the early prospectors.
When you see images of our city in the 1960s, you realize just how far CFA Society Vancouver has come since it was established. Over those early few decades, several pillars of Vancouver's financial community would stake their claim and make their mark. It was in those early years that my father and Bill Wheeler started their firm.
Notable ones there were the Phillips Hager North Group. Tony Gage was president of PH&N at the time, and Milt Wong from MK Wong and Associates, and then Murray Leith and Bill Wheeler. They were pretty instrumental.
Gord McDougall, and the president of the society at that time was Ken Shields. But I would think the most dominant figure would be Mike Ryan, because he had basically been there at the founding of the society in the mid-60s, and he was our sort of turn-to guy. When we wanted something looked after, we turned to Mike, and we turned to Mike a lot.
In this city, in Vancouver, there was a lot of speculative activity, and that certainly was identified as, if anybody asked about the stock market and the Vancouver market, they would be thinking of speculation.
The markets were so volatile in those days, especially with interest rates. We saw interest rates zoom up to 18, 20% in the early 80s, and then they came crashing down, and then one day alone, in 1987, the market dropped 25% in one day alone. So that was pretty emotional around the trading desk, where we were trying to make investment decisions with that kind of volatility.
In Canada, the 90s brought us three major events: the Asian flu, the rise in Nortel, and a very exciting global gold play.
Traders at the Alberta Stock Exchange say they've never seen anything like it. From a low of $1.90 to a high of $170 in just 1 year. It's a success story that has surprised even Bre-X President David Walsh, who has barely moved his office out of his basement.
I haven't had time to even think about it. Nothing's changed. The only thing's changed is I don't wear a tie anymore. No one can tell me to wear a tie.
The 90s also marked a stepwise change in technology at our disposal as analysts. Changes that would in many ways remake our roles.
A board of the society met because we had some demand from our members to really investigate a new technology that may be somewhat helpful in our professional lives going forward.
With the A and then the ring around it?
At.
See, that's what I said. Katie said she thought it was about. There it is, violence at NBC, GE.com. I mean...
Well, Allison should know.
What is internet anyway?
And as a society, we have evolved along with the markets and products we've analyzed.
The CFA was becoming a global designation, and globalization in strategies and investment types, in currencies, we were really becoming investors in the world.
We needed better analysts, a higher level of financial analysis to deal with that type of product, and so that's where the CFA program came in very nicely.
When I moved to Vancouver in 2000, CFA Society Vancouver had approximately 300 members and about 1,000 candidates. By 2004, when I was president, we had approximately 400 members, and we really have accelerated since that time to become a society of over 1,300 members and really the third largest society in Canada.
From the first annual forecast dinner in 1979 to the CFA Institute annual conference in 2008, and then to the Women's Symposium in 2013, CFA Society Vancouver continues to develop great new programs and keep other long traditions going strong.
I started going to the forecast dinner, I guess, in the late 80s when I was still in university. I was working part-time at my father's firm, and back then there was only maybe 8-10 tables. Everybody knew each other. It was certainly it was like a bun toss.
We held those at the Vancouver Club, and where there's another sign of change, where in those days we had a separate entrance for women versus men. So it was a little bit of a men's club. We're getting more and more women in our business, which has been a significant change for the better.
In 2013, I'm very proud that CFA Vancouver had the first Women's Symposium. And the model for that day, and much congratulations should be awarded to CFA Vancouver for that model, and that conference has been replicated in many cities and countries around the world since that time.
As CFA Society Vancouver looks to the future, we are aware of how the past continues to shape us. Lehman's failure precipitated not only a crisis in credit and equity markets, but a crisis in confidence in the very foundation of financial analytics. The CFA Institute has responded with a number of advocacy initiatives, such as the Future of Finance and the Statement of Investors' Rights, both of which help to strengthen investor confidence and rebuild trust. And closer to home, Vancouver investors can take comfort that our society and our charter holders rank among the world's finest. We look forward to another 50 great years, bun fights and all.